Hello everybody, thank you so much. Pleasure to being here today. A little bit out of the box, I'm not talking about energy storages and batteries, I'm talking much more related to modules. I'm Business Development Manager and Director of Solar. So we are cell manufacturer as well as module manufacturer. So maybe this topic, what you can see here, 𝐕𝐈D, is a topic which is maybe not currently a topic which popped up in the moment. So, but I would say since a few months, of course, we have some issues regarding financing situations, especially in case of DKB Bank. They figured out and stopped project financings due to the 𝐕𝐈D situation. So let me explain a little bit to you the background of 𝐕𝐈D. 𝐕𝐈D means it's already since 2022 a topic, and the situation behind is that all the red lights which we can see in the irradiation is causing some issues at the TOPCon technologies. What you can see, so currently you can see several third-party institutions. They figured out and they are much more concentrating on 𝐕𝐈D issues. So RETC is a React company out of US, and they figured out and they claimed the situation mainly in the market. So what you can see on the right-hand side is so that they used, maybe it's not clear for you, but they used several kind of technologies in case of PERC, in case of heterojunction, in case of TOPCon technologies. And what you can see here is so that we have a kind of degradation in kind of the modules, which means the efficiency of the modules is getting lower and lower during the years. And there are some or two important figures, how they're testing these modules. They're testing this by kilowatt-hour irradiation, which means on one side they're testing with 60 kilowatt-hour irradiation, on the other side they're testing with 120 kilowatt-hour irradiation. So what does it cost? So what you can see is so the first layer and the aluminum layer, the second layer of the TOPCon technology. It doesn't matter what kind of TOPCon technology, because the structure of the cell is always the same. So you can see that we have chemical breaks of the bonds of the first and the second layer, which means you have a degradation of the module on a yearly base, which is roughly 0.4% on top of the degradation which you already know. Yeah. So and then we have the grain boundaries or impurities in the polysilicon. So it's getting more, I would say, more impure, yes, so in case of the standard situation. And we have a situation of the hydrogen. So we have that hydrogen out of diffusion from silicon is increasing tap density and on the interface, which means all this situation, which you can see here right now, what is the red light causing, is a situation that you will lose efficiency in the case of the modules. So what we did as Solar is that we took our modules, in this case we took 3 modules out of our production, and we tested them by ourselves, first of all, but we even tested them by Fraunhofer Institute to figure out the issues and what we can do and how we can improve this cells technology. So what you can see is this is a starting phase inception of the modules. Then you can see after UV60 test or after UV or after LED test, which means what we figured out is, so inception phase, then we did the UV60 test, and we had a degradation of 2.62% of the modules. Yeah. So, and on the other side, there is an after LED test, so what shows us in this case, so that this is a kind of healing process. On one side you have the red light irradiation, on the other side you have the blue light irradiation, which is a kind of healing process at the same time, in case that the module gets the irradiation. So what you can see here, which is a really important topic. So all the tests, what I talked about already, so is done by laboratory conditions. So which is equivalent to STC conditions, which you know from other from standard module business. So, but what we figured out is, so if you went outside, in the real environment, so you can figure out, okay, that the irradiation is totally different compared to the laboratories. So which means on one side we have this metastable effect, yeah, which I already explained. So on one side we have the degradation with the red light, on the other side we have the healing effect with the blue light, which is definitely, I would say, bringing another average of degradations, yeah, instead of the full degradation, which was usually expected. And one more thing, this is also mentioned in the IEC, so you can read it in the IEC, so that there's a kind of degradation, yeah, which is caused by UVID, red light effects. So what we did as a solution of dust solar, we did 2 steps. On one side, we improved the cells themselves. So what you can see, we improved the first layer and the second layer, which was important. We improved the refraction index of the first layer, which means the density of the first layer is much more better compared to the previous situation. On the other side, we improved also the thickness of the aluminum layer. This is the second layer, what you can see here in this moment. The difficulty in this case was to figure out the right thickness of the layers. If you're going too big, of course, you have the issue so that the module or the cells themselves will be getting hotter, so which can cause hotspots on one side. And if you go too small, of course, you do not have any effect. Yeah, so you still have this degradation process, and which is still going on. So, and this is the part what we increased and what we improved in case of the cell. So, and you can see, so the degradation is, in this case, minus 1.46% or minus 0.77%. Yeah. The test situation, what RETC did in the past, so they figured out, okay, if you do not have any improvements of the cell, so you can have a degradation of the modules of the cell themselves between 17 and 12%, which is really a lot. So now we're talking about the improvements in case of the cell. What we did was the encapsulation of the cells themselves. If you are using glass and the cell and glass, of course we need an encapsulation process to embedding the cell inside the module. So, and even in this case, we work with different and leading suppliers, yeah, for the encapsulation, yeah, to avoid this effect of the red light, yeah, which is not possible to get it clear fully. But basically, of course, you can reduce this, and in this case, you have the possibility to reduce even this degradation of the modules. So what we did in case of this encapsulation process is, so we are using much more due to this encapsulation, that the red light is changing into blue light, yeah, which is on the other side definitely the healing process of the red light situation. And you can see we still are in the level of 0.79 or respectively 1.40% degradation per year. I can tell a lot of things about this degradation. This degradation belongs in general to all TOPCon modules, yeah? So it doesn't matter what kind of manufacturer. So, but what we did a certification process on one side with TÜV Rheinland, which is definitely necessary, of course, to show you also the certificates. On the other side, we also use the Renewable Energy Test Center, RETC, who usually figured out these issues in the beginning. So, but we involved them in our process to say, okay, if we try to figure out this, or if you try to figure out the reasons, if you want to have a solution, we definitely need this party at our side who can provide us a solution as well, of course, and working out together a solution with us together, but even who is able to give us a certificate. Yeah? Which means since last week we have an official certificate for this UVID situation that we really can confirm to you that our degradation is definitely in a lower level compared to the other market players. So let me continue and repeat the conclusions. Under lab conditions, TOPCon modules exhibit power degradation after UVID test. So then we have the TOPCon high efficiency module processes mestably. This is a situation what I talked under real conditions, not in lab conditions. It's getting better, and there's a healing process. And of course, we are still doing further research situations on these topics to improve also this situation in the next couple of months, years, however. So, but there are still some improvements necessary. So, and the solution what we can offer, again, so we are doing this process on the cell level as well as on the module level, yeah, to give you really a long time reliability in case of our modules. So that's the situation from my side. Is there any questions? No. So we are on time, I would say. Yeah. Thanks.